or us.
No, I won't manage without anybody. If you can see us on YouTube, I cannot yet see my if I click this, it's gonna welcome to my yeah, I'm gonna start talking, which I don't want. Um, I believe we should be coming up on YouTube, but we're not showing up there yet. So that's a bit worrying. Hold on a second. It says we're custom live streaming. So I'll go back to my home page and just see. No, I really need to go to my page instead of in the back end. Your channel. There we are. Okay. There we are. Um, Hi everybody. You watching us, you watching me looking clueless and Anne watching me looking clueless. It doesn't always show up instantly for me on my page. So even though you could all see it and you're all saying hi, I can see, I couldn't see that you were there. So lovely seeing everybody coming in. It's really nice to see you're all still here after the blind drawing exercise. You haven't all run away screaming, which is good. Um, and we've got lots to talk about, and we've actually got lots to celebrate. We've got some images to share with you of some of the work that's been done, and also just a bit of a discussion about what this exercise can show you, besides the fact of getting to know your own thoughts, etc. I just want to talk a little bit about what's revealed for you in your reaction to this. It's rainy in Surrey. It's rainy in Yorkshire as well. Now, if you have a question for us, please put question in capital letters before your question. And please only put it in once, don't put it in multiple times. Once we start talking, it would be great if the only things that went in there were either responses to something we've said or questions, just so it makes it easier for us to see the questions. We won't probably get to everyone, but we'll do our best to get to as many as we can. Um, Susan says, I screamed when I tried the blind drawings. I actually love blind drawings, just not of my face. I bet they're brilliant. I saw so many people saying, oh, I hated doing this. Mine are so terrible. And I had already thought what fabulous drawings before I saw what they said. Um, Everybody's saying how it's raining in England, in various parts of England. Um, okay, everybody. I am going to just start by sharing my screen. So let me just do that. But first of all, oh, this is very confusing for me. Let me get my thing onto something that I can want to share. Give me a sec, everybody, because this is a lot of windows open here that I'm trying to navigate between. Here we go. So I just wanted to share because we answer a lot of questions and we deal a lot, don't we, Anne, with people who are struggling or
We
got
do.
questions or want help. But we often don't spend time celebrating the successes. And I just wanted to share a few images from the Facebook group. And I just want to say for everybody watching, I literally pulled the first things that were there when I logged on to Facebook at 5 o'clock. So I haven't gone searching for things and I haven't picked anyone to be singled out or ignored anyone. I just literally like clicked on the things that were there, and that's up to Facebook algorithms. So, but they were all so excellent, it didn't really matter whose I picked. So Maggie was the first one that I saw, and she had commented on her post that it's not showing up on here, but that this was her favorite one. And it was when she combined two of her favorite techniques into one portrait. And isn't that just fabulous? Like, I just think here is who do we have here? Penny. Penny said, so much fun. This just made me happy. Like, I love this one. Oh my gosh, look how much personality in that one. And then we have Daniel. Um, Amazing. Daniel said he really was being cruel to himself in his thoughts as he was looking at his own face and was commenting how we don't do that to friends. So why do we do it to ourselves? We don't sit around with our friends saying, oh gosh, she's got wrinkles, she looks terrible, she's got old. We don't do that. We just see the face of a person that we love. And yet, here are Deb's excellent. Absolutely, my personal favorite is that one on the bottom right, where there's two pairs of glasses. That again, it looks like where you've done two on one portrait. But I mean, you might have your own favorites. This one was such a great idea. Dee did all of hers on one sheet, just going over and over the same in this, and that is just such an amazing result. So interesting. And to me, you see, this is more interesting than a painstaking, accurate drawing that looks exactly like the person. I can't I can't think of anything more boring to look at than a very carefully done perfect drawing, but something with imperfections and character and where we can feel that you've put all your energy like on all these. Can you feel this is Manisha, gorgeous, all of them. Can you feel how much of the person, look at Timothy's, like these are just fabulous. How much of that person has gone into doing these? How much of their soul and energy has gone into these? And that is what, when we're looking at art, that's what we're feeling. It's not about I've stopped sharing now, haven't I? Yeah.
You have, yes.
Yeah. It's not about the accuracy. I mean, that's important in certain types of art. At certain times, you want accuracy, of course you do, but you want accuracy with life still. You want a feeling that the artist is in it with their whole heart and soul, and you can do that when you let go like this. So I just wanted to take a moment because those people are just, like I said, a snapshot of the effort and energy that's gone into it. We've loved it, haven't we, Anne? It's been amazing looking at these.
We have, but everybody's put me to shame because I've got something to admit to you,
Which
Louise.
is, which is,
I won't, well, I haven't done the
you were
portrait
about to
blind.
say I won't. You were about
I
to say
was
I
about to
won't.
say I won't. I do lots of blind drawings of objects, but there's something about doing my face that I'm reticent about. So I'm not a good example as a coach, I'm afraid.
Well,
But
you actually are, I think, because we had some people saying things like this in the group, or we had a lot of people who I really respect and admire who said, not that I don't respect and admire you, Anne, because you know I do, but who said, I really don't want to didn't want to do this. And I dragged myself to do it. And then I had a blast, or it made me cry in a good way, or I realized some things when I did it. There was a lot of that I saw today because I spent a long time reading people's posts. And that's really exciting to see. But then there were some people who even when they did the exercise, they were really struggling with it. And that I just wanted to, I'll just get my notes because I wanted to make sure I get the comment, one of the comments. This is just anonymous again because I don't want to single anybody out. This is just one person who said something that many people said. Really struggled with this assignment. I look like a man in most of them. They are brutal. Seems like they were getting worse with each attempt. Now, that was written on some drawings that I had actually stopped and gone, oh, these are amazing. And then I read that comment and I wrote back to the person, worse question mark. I think these are amazing. Do you think you were trying to make accurate drawings even though I made that impossible? Do you equate accuracy with quality? I said it's some things to think about because these are so interesting and it's such a shame to dismiss them because of an impossible standard.
I can resonate with that post because I think I'm not particularly happy with how I've aged. I know that's very vain of me, but it's the truth from sort of in my heart. I don't think I've aged very well, and so it feels incredibly vulnerable to make that even worse by a blind drawing. I love the freedom of blind drawing, but it's I will do it, but it's just
Here's
it's
the thing though, Anne, just to say for everybody watching who's nodding along with Anne, you don't have to. right? You don't have to. You don't have to make yourself do it. Um, but it makes me sad to think that you feel that way. And I'm talking to everybody who feels that way. It makes me sad to think you feel that way about yourself. I mean, that you can't look at. I went through lots of that in the last few years. I put on a lot of weight in since 20, between 2019 and last year. And I absolutely get it because I absolutely hated to see myself. And it felt out of my control, like aging is out of our control. It
Yeah.
just felt out
Oh
of my
yeah.
control. And but funnily enough, when I came to terms with it, I started to be able to make some decisions to reverse it. And not that we can reverse aging. I don't like the fact I said in my video that one eye's smaller than the other because my face is swollen. And when I smile, I have a puffy cheek on this side and it waters a lot, so I'm constantly wiping it. I don't like those things. But I think if we negate ourselves, which is what we're doing when we say we don't want to draw ourselves, I don't want to look at myself, is imagine, Anne, if you said to me, when we come on the Zoom, would you mind putting your video off? Because I don't like looking at you. You would never in a million years.
No, no, I know, I know, I know.
Even if you don't like looking at me, you would look over my shoulder. You wouldn't say that to me.
Oh, I wouldn't. I
But you're
know, I
saying it
know.
to yourself, which
No,
is,
I know, and I shouldn't equate the drawing, which will make me even more wrinkly and saggy, with who I am and how others see me. I know all of that. I just struggle. But I'm going to, I mean, everybody's put me to shame, so I'm hanging my head here, but I will have a go and see if I like it or if I don't like it. And maybe other
yeah,
people who haven't done it, it's entirely up to them, but maybe they'll have a go and bite the
yeah.
bullet and
Because
reward myself with an ice cream after.
we all look awful in them. And if you're going to take them as what
Oh,
we
oh
actually look
yes.
like, I have an eye up here and an eye down here. And if we're going to take that as what we actually look like, we all look awful. But what I do find interesting, a few people commented on this. Even though we don't see a likeness when we look at it, I don't think you'll see lines and things because it won't even look like you in one sense.
No.
But there's a couple of things I've noticed. One, sometimes I look like family members who I don't think in the drawings, who I don't actually look like. If I look at my cousin Jane, for example, she's got blonde hair, blue eyes. We're totally the opposite. We don't, our faces don't look alike. And yet sometimes in the blind drawings I look like Jane, which there must be a likeness.
Mm.
And the other thing, sometimes in the blind drawings, I see emotion that I didn't realize I was feeling. That's weird when that happens. And a few people commented on that. But
People
what,
say that in the comments that when they see a lot of these drawings look quite sad or soulful, the blind drawings that
yeah,
people are doing, and they surmise that's because they're concentrating, looking at themselves in the
yeah,
mirror. They're sort of not emotionless, but they're really concentrated, so they come out as sad. But the
yeah,
drawings themselves are very expressive.
yeah, yes. And that is true of any self-portrait. We very rarely stand grinning at ourselves in the mirror or in a photograph. So we always do look very serious. But sometimes I'll catch, like, particularly I've caught strength when I was going through a hard time a few years ago. I'd catch real strength in these blind drawings that I didn't feel. And so sometimes it'd really help me.
Yes,
Because I think, oh, that woman looks quite steely. Maybe I can be that woman instead of how I feel.
yeah,
But we've talked about being held back by how you look, and I think that's big for everyone. And thanks for saying that, Anne. Um, but the other things that I think are holding people back as well is this fear, like I said, of the person I read out who fear of not getting it right, right? People said, I'm not good at drawing faces, so I don't want to do this. It'll be even worse if I can't look. But the point of making it the wrong hand, not being able to look, doing it with two different crayons, etc. The point of that is to put us all on an equal footing because none of us can do this accurately. So it's to take away the fact that there's even a possibility of you making a good likeness or an accurate drawing. so that you can just forget that, and then everyone's drawings will look wonky. And I mean, of course, if you do a blind drawing every day for a year, you probably get a bit better at placing things, but you
Mm.
still never get it right.
Some people have commented, even doing like 8 drawings, that they can see that they've got better in those 8 drawings. It's sort of muscle memory. They can see that they're responding to it better.
Yeah. And it's like, what do you mean by better? As long as you mean more interesting,
More
that's good.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And because getting it right, as in getting the lightness, that's the death knell for creativity. And this is what I wanted to say about this exercise. It is a mirror in more ways than one. It's not just about looking at our face. It shows us where we are either free and able to just explore, or where we are holding ourselves back. What's holding us back in one way or another? And so, for example, if somebody mentioned, I didn't want to do this, it felt like a waste of paper. I don't like wasting, I'm very frugal, this person said. That means that that fear of waste is what's holding you back. Because you're all here because you want to take your art to another level, some way or another. You want something out of your art that you're not getting now. If you're frightened of wasting paint, then that's what's holding you back. You cannot possibly become what you want to become in your work without using a lot of paint and paper.
Mm.
That you just can't. Just like you can't be a chef without cooking food, and you
Cooking
can't
food
be.
and, yeah, making some disasters as well, and strange combinations that just are awful. It's
Yeah,
all part of it.
yeah. It's absolutely necessary. And so if you've got that blockage, you have to spend some time working on it and trying to work out how you can get around it, because otherwise it's holding you back. If you're held back by the fear of, oh, I'm not going to be able to get it right, that's what's holding you back. Every time you try and do art before you found me, that's what was happening in your head. I've got to get it right.
Yeah.
So it's, and even the thing of being worried about how we look, certainly I know for me in that period where I was really stressing about my weight, that was holding me back in life. It wasn't holding me back in my art, but I was definitely keeping myself from doing certain things
Yeah.
because I didn't want to be seen.
Yeah, well, I was like that as a child, and sort of probably till I was 50 at least. You keep yourself small and in the background, and minimize
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
But it's people are hard on themselves. It goes back to what you and Heather were discussing the other night about you you expect to be able to do art almost the first time you try it, but you don't
Mm.
do that with playing the piano or driving the car or anything like that. You know, you've got to have lessons, or not lessons, practice sessions.
Yeah.
And the more you practice something, the more satisfying it'll be.
Yeah. Yes. But
And
you're right, something about art.
it's something odd, yeah.
I think because maybe we think there's talent, and maybe we think you've either got talent or you haven't. But like even then, even if you believe in talent, and when it comes to visual expression, I don't. I mean, some people are better at drawing accurate likenesses than others. Some people are better at using color naturally than others. I believe that. But we can all express ourselves visually. There's just no way around it. But even if you believed in talent, take a field where talent does apply, something like being a football player or a basketball player or something, where a basketball player, you've got to be tall. First of all, you've got to be super fast. You've got to have this amazing hand-eye coordination. So I couldn't do it. I'm too short. I'm too slow. I'm not good with the ball. But even the ones that have the incredible talent have to practice, 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 work, work, work all the time to be able to make something of that talent. It's not that they go, oh, well, I'm so good, I can just lie in and just show up at match time and I'll be the best one there. So I don't know why we think, but I think that is it. We think it's a gift and I haven't got it, and so I might as well give up.
It's because it's quite exposing. If you've got a talent like basketball, you go out on a court and you do your best. There's nothing more you can do. And when we look at that person is a basketball player playing basketball to the best of his ability. When
Mm.
you're an artist, and same with a writer or something, but when you're an artist, you're showing something of yourself. So you're exposing yourself. It's almost
Yeah.
like going out with no clothes on because you're showing how you view the world, and I think that's quite vulnerable and quite exposing to other to show yourself that fully to other people. If you drive a car, play a piano, you're showing that one talent, but with art, you're showing you. I think.
Yes. And unlike, say, writing, where my best friend's a novelist, when he's finished his draft, he shuts his notebook and no one can see it. But when I'm working on a series of paintings and my friends come to visit, they can see everything in progress
Mm.
and they can comment, which they do sometimes. And so in that sense, it's exposing as well because it's not something we
Yeah,
can hide away.
but we're showing our true selves, not just one talent we've got.
Yeah. And people have their own criteria for judging it, which is true of any art form, but our art is the only one that's there for everyone to see when they walk in. If you're a musician, no one hears your song unless you play it for them.
Yeah,
Ours is right there. But everyone's got their standards. So if their standard is everything has to look realistic and accurate, then they're going to look at mine and think, well, she's a bit
rubbish.
what's she doing? This is embarrassing. Or if they're really esoteric, academic, abstract painter, and they come into your studio and you're painting figures or portraits, they might think, oh, how lame, they should be doing something, they should be doing concept art or something. So everyone's got their opinions and everyone can judge. And so there's a lot to it, which is exposing. And so I get it,
Welcome
but
to my channel. I'm
sorry,
Louise
that
Fletcher and
got to stop. That's me talking in the background. Um, but we do have to grow a thick skin as artists because even just putting something on Facebook, you can get mean
Oh
comments.
yeah, no, I don't care what anybody else thinks, that they love it or dislike it. That doesn't bother me. But there's something I will do. I'm doing my exercise.
Anyway, I'm not pushing you, and you decide if you want to do it or not.
I've decided I'll accept your challenge.
Rosemary says, is there a way to incorporate these wonderful blind portraits into our art? I don't know, Rosemary, is there? Like, why couldn't you do a whole series of blind portraits and develop them in different ways? Um, you could do blind por Somebody wrote in and they said they didn't want to do a blind portrait of themselves. I don't want to go into why, but there was a story behind the way they looked, and they couldn't face up to or didn't want to think about that story. And I said, could you do a blind portraits of someone else? Could you do a spouse, a friend? Could you do a photograph you've got? Could you do a famous person? Could you just to have the fun of it. So the blind portraits wouldn't just have to be of you. I know for a while there's a artist called Karen Stamper, English artist, and for a while she was doing blind drawings of an allotment, which if you're not in the UK, you might not know what that is, but it's where in an area where people don't have gardens, there'll be an area where people can rent a patch of land and grow their own flowers or vegetables. And so there's lots of them, and you'll have lots of people there on a Sunday doing their gardens. And she was drawing allotments, but she was doing them blind. And so they were really cool.
They were stunning. I
Yeah.
remember those.
Yeah. So there's a million ways to incorporate this stuff into your art. But that question that you asked, that's Rosemary, the question for you to answer, not us. We don't know how you're gonna incorporate that into your art. You need to play with it. Just do lots of them. Play with the whole thing and keep doing it and see where you want it to go. Catherine says the blind drawings were very difficult to do, so I decided to not think that it was me visually, it was me internally. And I think it is you internally, actually. I think that's what shows up in these drawings. I'm just going to scroll back to the top and look at the first questions we got. And then We've got a lot of comments, a lot of comments. I'm looking. Question. So the blind drawing was quite different for me. I like wonky art, so this helped me to achieve that effect. I wasn't interested in looking like me at all. Did I miss the point of it all? Not at all, Stacey. So everyone who comes into this course has got different blocks or different things they need to learn, or different, including me, and different things they need to work through. So this just isn't one of yours, and each assignment might hit a different thing for different people. Tomorrow's assignment is something I have done before. It's not a new one, and it is challenging for some people. If you've done this course before, you might guess what it is. That might be might challenge different people. So Stacey, you might suddenly feel like, oh, but I don't want to do this one. Um, I just try and design things that hit different issues to try and help different people. So if you had a great time, I'm just really glad. Marissa says to improve portraits, what would be the next step to improve? Depends what you mean by improve, Marissa. If it's me when I'm working on portraits, I'm looking to get more of that blind drawing energy into them because, like I said, I do not care about drawing realistically. If you're asking about you want to make portraits that are realistic, then it's about learning to draw. And that is just time. There's a book called, somebody help me in the comments, although I'm too far up to find it. Betty Edwards' book, Drawing on the Right Side of
Right
the
side
Brain.
of the brain.
Yeah. Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, Marissa, is a wonderful book. You can even buy it secondhand online for hardly any money, and that will help you learn to draw if that's what you want to do. But it's really about practice. Sheila says, does talent only come from practice? I strongly believe we all have creative genes. It depends again what you mean by talent. So, um, I think Anne is better than me at composition naturally. And I think I'm naturally find color easier. But I think we're both capable of achieving the same things. I'll just have to work harder at composition because it comes naturally to Anne. I think there are people who are geniuses, right? There are people who are just Van Gogh, for example, probably is more talented than most of us. But I truly believe that what talent means in visual art is is the ability, what am I trying to say this? The ability to work without all the bullshit filters that we all have. So when you look at someone like Van Gogh, I feel like he had a direct connection to inspiration without any of the blocks that we're all talking about now. And he could just channel through creativity. Bob Dylan says that when he wrote his big songs that he wrote in the 60s, he doesn't know where they came from. He just wrote them down from somewhere. Maybe someone else could have written Bob Dylan songs if they were open to the channel. So I don't think we know about where creativity comes from, but what I do know is everyone can express themselves visually in interesting ways. And someone will like what you make, whatever you make.
But that's what you're teaching us, isn't it? In all these exercises and the courses, it's to connect with who we are and express what we want to express in our own way. No two people are the same.
Yeah,
But if you I don't want to use this word, but if you're just copying someone else's work, that will never be as good as the other person's work. But if you look at a landscape and express it in your way, be it, daubs of colour or accurate drawings, you're expressing something of you within your art.
yeah,
And your attitude to the art making is just the way to tap into that, I think, rather than rule books about composition and the golden mean and focal points and things. You can tap into it far more intuitively by taking your philosophy to art making.
yeah. And when we have all these barriers, so when I was scrolling through today over and over again in the Facebook group, reading and trying to comment on as many things as possible, I was seeing I could tell you without reading the posts who threw themselves into it with their whole heart and soul and who was trying to do good drawings and peeping and not doing it blind, actually having a look. You can just tell a lot of, and I'm not picking on anyone because I know how hard it is to get out of the habit of trying to be right, but it's very clear when you look at art who was in it when they made it and who was holding back. And the holding back, that is the difference between artwork that's in a museum or artwork that's in a show and winning prizes. And when you don't like it aesthetically, it can be hard to understand. Like every year, somebody posts a Cy Twombly painting into the Facebook group and says, well, if this can be considered art, anything is. And Cy Twombly is like my favorite artist probably now, but I used to think that. I used to think that, but now I realize that he, everything of him is in those paintings. He didn't leave anything on the pitch. When he died, everything was in his artwork. And it was revolutionary and different because of that. And it was totally his. Every bit of it came from his soul. So no one else can do it like that. So that's why those artists end up elevated and the rest of us are still battling through layers. And what it looks like to battle through the layers, like for me, for example, I'm trying to be more, make more bold marks and more expressive paint areas in my paintings. And I constantly blend them away and make them smooth. And I can see that's me in life too. I blend off the edges and smooth things over to make people around me feel okay. And I'm working through that in my artwork. So I can't be Bob Dylan or Cy Twombly yet because I've still got things that are stopping me from being totally in my work. And I think most of us do, but we just peel a bit back each time and we get a bit more of ourselves in each time.
Mhm. And you know you've made something when it feels like you, don't you? You don't know why it feels like you, but it does feel like you.
Yes. Yes. And I've done one for the full course. I've done a demo for an expression exercise that we do. And it's one of the ugliest things I've ever made. And I wouldn't hang it on my wall and I wouldn't sell it to anyone. But I looked at it and I was like, that's how I felt today. And I like it. I wouldn't put it in a frame, but I like it. I love it actually because it felt like me, but it's not pretty.
No.
Um, it's not even slightly appealing visually. Um, Jennifer says, did you use gesso to cover the journal before you drew over in the video today? Yes, I think so. And the glue, gosh, it could have been anything from a glue stick to PVA to an acrylic medium, depending what I had that day. In a sketchbook, I really don't bother. What glue do you use if you use any
I
glue?
tend to use gloss medium, but I don't worry about if it's peeling at the corners or anything. It all adds to the texture of the book.
Yeah, yeah. Ellie says, just realized how constrained and small I kept my blind drawings. Yay, Ellie, go back and do it again. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm so proud of everyone who, admitted a struggle or asks a question because this is all part of the process of becoming an artist. And I feel like we're all becoming an artist all the time. I don't think it's something we are artists, but we're also becoming artists.
Stop, because we keep improving, don't we? We're not improving. We keep getting more of ourselves into our art.
Yeah. Jane says, I'm the most difficult person to please, always striving and wanting to be better. Me too. Never happy with the result. How do I overcome this to enjoy everything I do? Hmm. I'm always, I feel like I'm always striving to be better in my art. Always. but I'm also enjoying everything I'm doing. So I'm trying to pinpoint. Can you think of what the
Well,
difference is there, Anne?
I enjoy the process as well. It really doesn't bother me what it looks like. If I'm enjoying myself doing something, that's that's the bit I enjoy. That's the bit that interests me. Once it's done, whether it's beautiful or terrible, the end result doesn't matter either way to me.
Yeah,
And so I just, whenever I'm doing something and I make something that's a total mess and it's all gone muddy and things, I just say, well, that didn't go right, did it? I'll do another one. It's it's
yeah.
it's the fun of the doing that I like. So I've got the attitude that the result doesn't matter. It's nice if you get a nice one, you can frame it and put it on your wall, but otherwise, it's just the fun of doing something and the whole process of exploring and trying different things.
And Jane, for me as well, I totally agree with Anne. And also, I get joy out of the desire to want to do better because it's like each
Mm.
time I go into my studio, there's a challenge waiting. Whereas if I could just do what I wanted to do, that'd be nice for like maybe 20 paintings,
Be
but then
boring.
it get really boring.
Yeah.
So I think the striving and wanting to do better is totally fine. I think where you're getting hung up though is that you're demanding a good result. And that can work in lots of areas of life where we can measure things. Like if I'm doing a marketing campaign to get people into the free course, I can measure how well I've done. I can analyze the statistics, I can increase the money I spend. It's very logical and practical. Whereas my artwork, I can have every intention of improving that day and I can go backwards and make a big mess, like Anne said.
Yeah. It's not like we're building a house where it's got to be habitable, it's got to stay up.
Yeah,
We're building a really wonky house that's fun and we can explore in it. It's just, it's art. It's fun. It's a
yeah,
visual thing that others can enjoy and we enjoy making it. So it's
yeah.
just win-win.
Anne-Marie's got a question. Any tips to help us stop comparing ourselves to others? I mean,
Mini Louise on the shoulder.
yeah, because I'm just thinking, I think what I try and do with my teaching is to get people to turn that from comparing to being inspired. Because if you probably, Anne-Marie, I'm guessing, go through life comparing yourself to other people in other ways too. Because if we do it in our art, we do it in lots of other things. And the thing is, there's always someone better. There's always someone who's further along in their art. There's always someone thinner. There's always someone younger. There's always someone more beautiful. There's always someone more clever. There's always someone with more money. There's always someone with a bigger house or a better car or whatever it is we're comparing. And there's always lots of people with less, but you never look at those. You only look at the ones with more of whatever it is. There's always someone with a happier marriage or a more well-behaved dog. That's what I look at. I compare everyone's dogs to mine. Um, there's always someone whose sports team does better than yours. You could compare, it's just mad to compare yourselves. That's the only thing I can say. When you zoom out and look at it, and who are you comparing yourself to? Are you comparing yourself to people with your level of experience in art and education in art? Or are you comparing yourself to people who've put in a lot more hours and a lot more work than you? Um, I saw actually the other day on Instagram, one of the few times I've seen this, an artist who whose work actually took my breath away in that I couldn't even imagine how it was done. And it was these massive paintings. It wasn't the kind of usual raw abstracts that I like. They were abstracts, but every kind of technique was in them. Everything from the most detailed accuracy to the most raw abstraction. And they were incredible. I bet they took maybe a year to make a big painting. And there was a little bit of my brain going, I could never do that. But then, yeah, okay. I can never do that. Am I going to get upset that I could never do that? Or
Mm.
just accept that that person's
You just,
amazing and cheer them on.
yeah, you accept it and be inspired by them, just as other people further behind you on your journey are inspired by you. It used to help me. I used to have a little mini Louise on my left shoulder talking in my ear, and all these wise words. Why are you comparing yourself to them? They're further on the journey. They've been doing it for 20 years. You've been doing it for 5 minutes. And you used to talk to me. You were green, I'm afraid, but you used to sit on my
I was
shoulder.
green.
You've shouted so loudly in my ear that it's in my head now. And I think you just, when you find yourself doing it, just stop. What would Louise say? Who
Yeah,
why are you comparing yourself to them? It's unrealistic, or you're so much better than that. And just, I used to hear you in my ear. So by the end of the
reading,
course,
I'm reading a book. Let me just grab it. Carry
okay.
on, sorry.
So, just by the end of probably the first year of Find Your Joy, it was so in my head, but you were a little green monster. Sorry.
I've got this book, which I've just finished reading. Jerry Saltz, Saltz, is a New York art critic. He's a real character if you ever see him. He's real New Yorker and he doesn't take any crap. And he's an art critic. But he's written this book, How to Be an Artist. And Grayson Perry, British artist, says, I wish I had read these rules 40 years ago and carried them around like a Bible. And he begins by saying, everyone, hang on. He begins by saying art is for anyone. So it's
It
inclusive,
is.
but he's also very straight talking. And when somebody says something like, I'm comparing myself to other people, he says, shut up, you big baby, and go start painting. And all the way through, he keeps saying, what you going to do, you big baby? Go paint. And it makes me laugh because we do, that is the only answer ever. And it's a real, but I really recommend it. It's funny, it's small, it's easy to read, and is very wise. And he's not an artist, he's an art critic. But because of that, he spent a lot of time with many, many, many artists. So he's got a different perspective. Sharon just has a comment that when we don't want to, when we feel exposed when people look at our artwork, it could be that we're worried to let people into our world because it's our safe place. And I think that's
True.
possible, yeah.
Yeah. This with me.
Um, how do I approach the stress I feel, says Mella, when I want to do it all? Watercolor, acrylic, collage, jelly plate, crayons. I can become kind of paralyzed thinking, how will I ever have enough time? What do you think?
I used to be like that because which media to use? I used to do textiles. So it was always, can I do it in textile? Shall I do it in paint? Shall I do it in pastel? Shall I just draw it, collage? And I used to be like that. But now I'm just, you can't learn everything all at once. It all becomes overwhelming. So pick something for the next month, 3 months, and work on it. And then pick another thing. And as you're doing it, make notes on which you enjoy, which you don't enjoy. And if you're fed up after 6 weeks with the first thing, pack it in and do another one. It distracts you more. It's like we're using limited materials. If you've got too many options, you don't even know where to start and you procrastinate and don't do any of it. So I
Yeah.
pick one medium for a few weeks and see how it goes.
Yeah. Um, sorry, I'm still looking for questions. I agree totally, so I'm not going to say any more about that.
Just do one of them and do it to your best of your ability. But do make notes at the same time as to whether it's actually satisfying that need in you.
Still looking for questions. Oh, there's a lot of comments that aren't questions. Do you think of drawing as an exercise for the creative right side of your brain? Everyone has two brain hemispheres. I don't know anything about
It's
that.
which, but one of them's expressive and one's I think you. Oh, I don't. I'm not going to say one of them is more for drawing and things like that. That book, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, explains all that. But I read it probably 35 years ago. I've not seen it since. So I
Yeah.
was doing it for my textiles.
Dawn says, anyone have a great way to document what we like and not like? Maybe a sketchbook. Yeah, great idea. When we do the full course, we have a studio journal, which is what I keep, which is I always have a sketchbook on the go and I make notes. Now, I'm going to let Anne answer because she's the sketchbook queen. Um, you have beautiful sketchbooks and you've been doing them for years.
Yeah, I've got like 30 years worth of sketchbooks, but everybody uses sketchbooks differently. Some people just do paintings in one and then note taking or daily writings, just emptying your brain of what you're going to do and any problems. So everybody's is individual, but mine has got colour mixing in it, little sample paintings or layouts. It's got quotes. Sometimes they have recipes in them. If I come across a recipe in a magazine I'm reading, I might even write that in there. So they're very eclectic. Or if I'm on Pinterest and there's a website, I think I haven't got time now. I'll go back and look at that person's website. I put that in it. I've got my iPad propped up on some sketchbooks, but I just love flicking through them. And I can see me in the ones I do now and in the ones from 35 years ago. I can see the essence of me in them and how I've developed. I love them.
Sorry, my questions all jumped then, so I lost track of
Oh,
the
so you've lost
conversation.
track of where you are.
Um, Lisa says, how to deal with materials frugality, fear of using up supplies. So that really is what we were saying about that is always going to hold you back. So I think you have to work through it. I mean, we've probably got some tips on how to make it a bit less expensive, etc. But some of this is ingrained in you, and there's some kind of belief there that you're not worth or your art's not worth spending money on. And and it can be just that you've learned to be very frugal. That wasn't my upbringing, so I don't have that issue, but I've met lots of people who do. But you just have to kind of really talk to yourself and ask yourself, do I want this or not? Because if you want it, you can't have it without loosening up and spending some money on materials. Now you can save money by, say, using house paint. You can save money by using student grade acrylics while you're learning, or if you use acrylics, or by working on cheap paper, wallpaper, lining paper, things like that. You can have ways to manage it, but you can't be an artist without using paint and paper and drawing materials. And it is expensive.
Keep the best. I'd buy a moleskin sketchbook or something like that, and I'd keep it for best. But best never came, so I didn't use them.
Yeah.
And it's the same with paints. You once said to me very, very early on, the only paint that's wasted is what you've left in the tube. So, start using it and splashing it about and learning with it. And sketchbooks now, I do some scribbling across several pages and then it's not what blank book anymore. But you've got to use it. But if you're not using your paints, you're wasting them far more than if you're spending money on paints, and that's honouring your creativity. Because men, I'm sorry if there's any men on this call, but men don't worry if they're going to buy a posh new bike or join the golf club or anything. It's only women who feel they ought to spend money on other people and the family rather than on themselves. And I
Mm,
think that's generally true. We don't value ourselves highly enough. Whereas men wouldn't ask a wife, I'm going to buy some super duper new tires for my road bike. They'd just go out and buy it. But we'd think, oh, that paint's too expensive.
yeah. Yeah.
It is a woman thing.
It is. And we have to balance, obviously, if money's tight, paint is expensive. There's one color of golden paint. I can't remember what it was, but I don't usually buy golden paint, but they have a particular color, a few colors that I like. And this particular one for a 500 milliliter tub was 130 pounds. And I was like, I am not paying that. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. So I just have to get a different brand.
Okay.
We do have to be live within our means, obviously. But if, like, my mum is in her 80s and still giving money to a certain member of my family because they're not fending for themselves. I mean, that's ridiculous. And then she will say, I can't afford to do things. So,
Others first. Also with paints or paper or brushes, you wait for the sales. So you know, if you think I'm going to need some new paint soon, then you look on all the sites to see who's got an offer like 30% off.
yeah,
And I only buy ordinary paints. I have got some golden, but special colours that I
yeah,
really
me
like.
too. Yeah,
But otherwise, I buy cheap. But I buy in the sales.
yeah.
I do that for my clothes and shoes, anything. I buy in the sales
And
because
my
you know in
brushes,
advance what you want.
I get a lot of brushes from the hardware store
Me
and a lot
too.
of tools from the hardware
Yeah,
store, just things like squeegees and stuff like that.
yeah. No, but I look for the sales and special offers. And enter competitions. I won a competition recently for some golden paints, and I
Oh,
won
did
it.
you? Oh,
For
that's good.
so enter these competitions. Someone's got to win them.
Yeah, good point. Linda's question, I love this question. I have trouble using a sketchbook because I'm afraid I'm going to get an actual painting I like. Would I just tear it out? Oh, Linda, Linda, Linda. So what you're saying there is paintings I like are so rare that I have to cling on to them and make the most of them. So sometimes in my sketchbook, I'll make something that comes out really well, and then people say, "But how are you going to sell that?" And I say, "I'm not. It's in my sketchbook. I'm just going to leave it there." Um, because I know that there's many, many, many more things to come. That's just one thing. And you will learn that, Linda. The more you let yourself go and the more you create from yourself from in here, the more you'll make amazing things on a regular basis that you're proud of, and the more you won't care if they're in a sketchbook or
No, no. You've done it in your sketchbook, and if you tore it out and framed it and put it on your wall, in 6 months, you'd look at that and say, "Oh, I could do so much better if I just left it where it was and keep practicing on other ways to explore." It's you're always going to churn out the odd gem, but not at this early stage. Just enjoy it. If you've made it once, you can do something similar again, but not the same because you can't copy anything.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, Diana says cerulean blue is so expensive, but it's so beautiful. I get, well, I'm in the UK, so I get System 3 cerulean blue, which isn't expensive and is pretty good, I think, compared to other ones.
They just said it in the Facebook group. If she asks in the group, I live in Canada, what are reasonable quality paints I can get in Canada?
Yeah,
Lots
yeah,
of you need
yeah.
to know where you live. So if you're in Facebook, that is one of the benefits of being in the Facebook group for advice.
And if you want to use household paint, I was visiting an artist last year who works entirely in household paint, and she buys in America. They seem to have this thing. They don't seem to do it here, where if people get the wrong color mixed up, they take it back to the hardware store, and then you can buy them cheap, pre-mixed. So she buys a lot of that. But here, what you can do, and I'm sure you can do it everywhere, is take color swatches in to be matched and then have them mix up pots. And you can have those little tester pots. And they're not cheap. House paint's not even cheap, but it's cheaper than artist paint. And if you're practicing and learning, why not do that? That's another way. Lee says, what brand of paint do you use or prefer? I've been looking into Nova. Nova's very good, I understand. I think an artist that I got some paint from uses Nova. And if I'm right, they're wonderful. But lots of people recommend Nova. I that we don't get them here, so I use System 3 mostly and some golden, but not very many golden. It's too expensive.
In the UK, Hobbycraft quite often have Sennelier paints.
Oh,
Really, really,
Sennelier is
really.
nice. Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
sachets quite often at Hobbycraft, they have them really, really cheap. So when they've got an offer on, if you've got, I mean, you don't need to buy lots of colours, but buy two or three in the colours you're using, a red, blue, and yellow, and a black and white, once you know which ones you like or prefer.
Jude says, Louise, there is something called the Community Repaint Scheme. Ask around if there's one in your area. I used to run one in Cumbria. Actually, yes, Jude, there was one in Leeds that I went to and bought a bunch of paint from. So you're right. Yes, so that's a good point. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. Lots of recommendations for Nova. System 3, is that Daler Rowney? Yes, it is.
But if you're short of money for your paints, just buy the primaries and black and white. Don't think you've got to buy 20 different colours. You're far better to have 4 tubes of 5 colours than the other way around, because you can make any colour you want, which you'll have seen doing the colour mixing.
Yeah, exactly. Is there a difference in the consistency and flow between household? Yes, very much. Household paint is more flowy, and I really like it actually. Um, Jackie says, Louise, could you give us the artist name you visited who uses house paint? Yes, I'll have to spell it for you though.
Spell it.
Actually, if you look up Bibi Art in Google, rather than say it because you'll see when you see her last name, I won't get it right if I spell it. She's called Bibi Ginalot, but it's spelled in a really strange way. But if you look up Bibi, Bibby Art, you will find her artwork is abstract, full of joy, really good fun. And she uses collage, she uses um glue. Her glue is like a household varnish, and she uses house paint. And I said, is it like emulsion or, and she said, anything, gloss paint, acrylic paint, anything. She just puts it all in there and then seals it all in.
Gosh.
Um, and it looks great, but her work is a lot about collage as well. So it's the paint is, there's not as much paint as the color isn't as important, I would say, as in mine. Margie says, didn't Jackson Pollock use house paint? I think he used a kind of house paint, yes. I don't think he used like emulsion. I've forgotten what he used, but yeah, he didn't use artist quality paint. Somebody said, can you put these suggestions in an advice sheet? I'm really sorry, Heather, but I haven't got time to do that as well on top of everything else.
Snowed under, aren't we, in the team?
Yeah,
So
this takes a lot of time and energy and effort and my whole team, and we just couldn't do that as well. But it's all here. So just have to rewatch the videos and make some notes. After seeing your tutorial on color mixing, looks like you can make so many colors. Do you buy many colors or do you do more color mixing? Chris, yeah, I don't buy very many pre-mixed colors.
no,
Um, and I know Anne, you're the same, right?
I'm
We
the same.
mix
I
our own colors.
feels, but other than that, I mix them.
The big benefit of mixing your own, one of the big benefits is, well, A, we can tell. Like if you use sap green out of the tube, anyone who knows anything about painting can tell that you've just used colours straight out of the tube. And your colours won't hang together because they're all mixed from different colours. But when you mix your own colours from a limited palette, like I showed you in that exercise, you can get enough colors to paint anything from any primaries that you choose. You won't be able to mix every color in the world, but you'll be able to get enough colors to mix to paint, say, a vase of flowers or anything you want to paint. And they will all harmonize. They will all go together because they're all made up out of the same colors. So that's a big benefit of it.
Mhm. I
Um,
bought loads of colours when I started painting, but not anymore. And I've still got some colours that I've never used. Well, I've used little bits of, but I much prefer to make my own now. So
Jen says, how can you make any paint look super shiny like nail polish? You could mix it with or probably coat it afterwards with gloss medium if you're painting in acrylics. Because what you can't do that on oil paint. I don't know what you would do in oil paint because I don't use oil paints, but it's an acrylic medium that's glossy, so it creates a sheen over everything. So it looks like almost like glass.
it does look like glass, yeah.
question. It all seems to be acrylic lead rather than watercolor. Michelle, I don't know if you're watching the other night, but Heather paints in watercolor. You're only perceiving it that way because you see me painting in acrylics, but there's nothing in the exercises I've asked you to do that can't be done in watercolor. Absolutely nothing. So I think what looking, you're thinking, well, no one's showing me how to do this in watercolor, but you just do it. And Heather it works in watercolor, who was on the call last time, and she's doing everything in watercolor. There's nothing I've asked you to do that you can't do in watercolor. If you decide, oh, I really don't want to layer my watercolors, and maybe I've said an exercise where I want you to layer things. If it were me, I would just do another one. So if I were working in watercolor, I'd do one. And then when I say, let's say I'm making this up now, but if I said do your first layer in three colors and then do a second layer in a different three colors, and you're thinking, well, I can't because it's watercolor, just do a second one where you use the other colors. That's not going to be an exercise, by the way.
There was an interesting post earlier. A lady done the blind drawings, but she was actually a potter, and she said that this would be really good to make heads, sculptured heads, blindly for looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can apply it to anything, can't you? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Kathy says, is house paint archival? Can you sell paintings done with house paint? You can sell things made out of anything if you tell people what they're made out of. So Jackson Pollock's paintings are still going strong, and he didn't use archival paint. Back in that era of the abstract expressionists, there's an artist called Robert Rauschenberg who made a lot of work called assemblages, where he put bits of wood, bits of canvas, bits of cardboard together. Some of those are beginning to disintegrate a bit. So we're talking about in the 50s that he was doing this. And now teams of conservationists like try and keep them from falling apart. But if our artwork is good enough that in 75 years somebody still cares and wants to conserve it like his, someone will. That's the way I think about it. And if not, who cares? As long as it lasts, as long as we're alive. But some people, that's just my opinion. So other people feel differently. But I know that's how Bibi feels. But she seals them properly with a UV varnish, so they should be fine. I mean, house paint doesn't just fall off your wall, does it? It doesn't.
No.
It changes color in the sun over time, but that's why we put UV varnish on.
And prep the panels first properly if you're going to sell them.
Yeah. Louis, oh, I've done that. I'm just scrolling back now to see if I missed any questions. I probably did. Tom says, paint a lot to get good? Question. So paint small to get through them and it's cheaper. As a man, I'm careful with money, as most of us are. Well said,
Sorry, Tom.
Tom. I love that. Um, Yeah, so that's another thing. If you're going, of course, when you paint, that's why I said I can't really afford golden paint, or I can't bring myself to pay for golden paint. I work quite large size and I use a lot of paint. One of those 130 pound tubs will last me a few days. I just, I'm not going to do that. So yeah, when you're learning smaller, of course, you don't need as much paint. So that's another good suggestion. Yeah, I am Samudra says Nova is great, same as Art to Life paints. That's what I wondered. I've got some Art to Life paints that I won in a competition, and they have a I like them a lot. They're very flowy and easy to use, but and nice colors. But the problem is they don't ship to the UK, so I can't get them. But yeah, they're really excellent. If that's Nova paints, they're great. And if you're in somewhere else and you're in the Facebook group, just asking in the group what do you think is a good brand where I am, like Anne said about something else, just asking other people. I think that we are done with questions. Caroline says, I just did all the blind selfies and finished with one I did while looking at the paper. Even though the last one looked more like me, I liked the blind ones better. I always like the blind ones better. Deanne says, what paints are people in the US using? That's where Nova paints are, Deanna. So check those out. I gather they're quite inexpensive. Celine says Art to Life paint goes bad more quickly than other brands, I find. Oh, I don't know. Mine never lasts long enough to go off, so I don't know. Good to bring it up though.
You can't,
Question. Sorry.
for making your paint go further, you can dilute them with water, can't you? To some extent, to make them runnier.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
System 3 can be quite thick.
Yeah, they're too gloopy now.
So I
They're
put some
more
water in
gloopy.
them.
Yeah.
You know, not I don't pour a whole jug full in them, but you know, you can water the paints down. And if
Yeah.
you much, you'll know for next time. Just water small amounts down and find what consistency you like.
Yes, exactly.
That
And
saves money.
when the System 3, I buy those big ones, and then when some of it's gone, that's when I put some water, and I sometimes put some like runny medium, like a GAC 100, which is just
Mm.
an acrylic medium, and then stir it all up or shake it, like hold the top and really shake it. And then you get double the paint out. And
They
honestly, you can put quite a lot in System 3 before it loses any of its
can,
strength.
yeah.
It's very good pigment, actually. I'm surprised to say it's quite cheap. Um, just wish I could get the question. Please, can you speak about the use of touch for the blind painting exercise? I actually saw that from someone else, and I can't remember who. Some artist I saw doing that exercise a few years ago, and I've done it ever since, and I love it. I love it because you get a completely different, more sensitive and slow drawing when you do it by touch because you're really having to concentrate on two senses. And also, there's something quite gentle about it and kind about it to yourself as you touch in your face. I don't know, I just really love it. And I always like the drawings I get from that best. That and blind drawing, I always think are the best drawings that I do of my face. So, but I can't claim it as my idea. I think it was Emily Ball actually, who is a British painter who does a lot of teaching. And she did a mini course on self-portraits a few years ago, which I did. And I think it was in there that she had us do that. Carla says, after this recording, can we access all these comments? Yes, you can, Carly. You just go to find it on YouTube and we'll be sending you out a link. And then somewhere there, I've seen a button to click to read the comments. I can't tell you exactly where it is, but you could probably look up a video on YouTube that would tell you. Emily Ball, yeah, Emily Ball. Having difficulty keeping white space when painting, any suggestions? So we answered questions like this when I was on with Heather, where we said, right, so you got to make yourself do it. Like it's as simple as that. You've got to make yourself do some exercises where you do it. Chris, that's funny. I did the touch exercise after black pastels. And she said, blimey. I love that when I start filming a video for you and haven't checked, and then I've got something all over my face. It's good job I haven't done it with black pastels. Um, okay, I think we are done. We have another assignment for you coming tomorrow, and this one might be more challenging for some of you than some of the ones we've done so far. And I just want to ask you to give it a chance. Again, like everything I've asked you to do, there's a reason why I'm asking you to do it. It's a little bit more confronting for those who are still trying to get it right. It's great fun when you can let go, and it's confronting if you can't let go. I'll just do this one more. Any tips for safely disposing acrylic? It's not my expertise, Erin. Where I am, I'm very lucky at my studio. I have a environmentally friendly drainage system set up, where the water drains into the water comes out of the sink into a series of giant buckets that are buried into the ground, and it goes through these buckets, and something to do with the heaviness of the paint sinks to the bottom, and the clean water filters into the next bucket, filters into the next bucket. You can tell I didn't design this. And then eventually filters out into a limestone, a ton of limestone, and then filters into my treatment plant because I'm not on public water here. So I have the modern equivalent of a septic tank. So at no point is my acrylic paint going into the public water system. So I don't have to ever think about this. Do
I I filter mine like through coffee filters and things, and I
it's the
let
same
let
idea.
it dry out and throw away the coffee filters in the general rubbish. So I
That's a,
pour the clean water away. But I
if
pour it
you
into a bucket and, gradually clear it out. And the stuff at the bottom, the sludge, I let it dry and peel it off and throw it away.
yeah, so it's a similar, so it's like mine is like
Yeah.
that on a big
You can
scale.
buy you can buy high tech ones, can't you? But I do it
Yeah.
that way.
That's the kind of thing, and many of these other questions that I didn't get to, like what kind of panels do you paint should are best for painting on, and these things, honestly, if you go on YouTube and look them up, you'll find helpful videos on almost every technical and practical question you could ask. Way more focused on the mindset side and and learning to paint side, but we cover more of that into the full course. I do want to just announce that today's winner of a free place on Find Your Joy is Linda Weber. So, congratulations, Linda. We're looking forward to seeing you in the course. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We've really enjoyed this. Well, I know I have. I'm
I
speaking
have
for
I
Anne.
have too. I always enjoy chatting
I
to
can
you.
tell that you're smiling, so you look like you've enjoyed it.
Uh-huh.
And thank you so much for all your efforts so far. It's really touching and moving to us. We're all talking about it behind the scenes about how what an amazing group this is. I think it's our best free course group ever in terms.
I think so too. It's amazing. And the blind drawings that people are posting are just
Yeah,
uh, amazing. They're putting me to shame.
commitment and the honesty and the just everything. You're all amazing. So thank you very much. So we will see you around. If you contact us tomorrow or are looking for help tomorrow, this is the one day that the team doesn't mostly work, Sunday. So just be patient with us and we're all back at it on Monday, but everyone needs a little bit of a break. So have a great Sunday, everyone, and enjoy tomorrow's assignment. And we'll see you in the Facebook group or on the next call. Bye.